Hey everybody, Toby here with PE Garage. It is freezing cold in Lubbock, Texas today, so I'm out in the shop. I don't have heat, but I'm bundled up, bringing you a new video about one of the coolest trends in fabrication in the past decade or so, dimple dies. So this is a multi-part series that I'm going to do over the next few days, and step one involves cutting the hole. So stay tuned. I'm going to show you how we did these nice and clean using one of my favorite new tools, a knockout punch, on the next PE Garage. Okay, so here we've got a couple of options if we want to use the dimple die. So I'll be doing this in a later video, and so we'll cover that in the future. But for now, in order to get a dimple dyed hole, we need a hole first. So two ways to do that. The way I've used in the past is the old school hole saw. This is a bimetal kit. Works all right for this light gauge sheet metal. But what I found is it's not ideal, especially if you've already got a pilot hole, because it needs that hole to center, and so it'll walk around on you and you end up with an oval instead of a round hole. And with these dimple dies, that hole is going to be seen. I can dress it up, I can try to hit it with a file, but the cleaner it is when I make it, the easier it is to make it look good. So I've kind of gone away from the hole saws and started using what are called knockout punches. Now, these are used a lot by electricians. They'll use these to knock holes out of metal boxes if they don't already have the knockouts. So the way these work is you'll drill a pilot hole, and you'll have to drill a hole for the mandrel. The receiver will actually go under the metal. The punch part will self-center on the top, and as it pushes through, it will knock a hole out. So I'm going to show you how these are used. And something else to consider is layout. So on my dimple die, I've got a bit of a radius here. And if I'm laying this out, I really need to use that outer part of the flare as kind of the outer part of my hole. So I'll kind of show you that in the dimple die video, but for now, these actually kind of approximate that pretty well. The inner part of the receptacle here is where the hole is going to be. The thickness provides me a pretty fair estimation of where that dimple is going to start. And so as I space these out, lots of times you can just use something that's a known thickness to provide that equal spacing. And so even though my holes aren't equally spaced, the spaces between these descending size holes is equal, so I'll get the symmetrical look that I'm after. So I'm going to lay out my sample pattern here. I went ahead and measured my sheet metal so that I can find kind of the midpoint of this piece. And so now I'm ready to add the center line. So I'm just going to use a piece of flat stock here. Got my center line. Now I want to situate where I want the knockout. So for the first one, I'm just going to kind of randomly position it here. So we are 3.106 from the edge. Just kind of eyeballing it. top to bottom, left to right I'm measuring. So if I wanted to put 2 more in there, I can do this a couple of ways. I like to use this center marker tool. So here and here. I don't have room for that many, so I'm just going to use the center point. Right. And I'll measure that just to confirm. Nice 1.15. 1.15. Alright, so I just used the hole saw for this hole. You can see I used cutting oil, but it's a little jaggedy. It's a good thing I got gloves on or it would be really rough. So that would need a fair amount of work to dress down. So let's try the knockout punch. So use this. I want to cut it down. So if this is the front, I want to cut through the face. Because if I get any deformation of the metal, I want it to be down into the dimple die hole. Feed this up and through. Put it on. So as I'm tightening, you can see the punch cutting up into the metal. And it's got a ways to go still. Here you can see kind of how rough that hole saw hole is and how clean the punch is. Alright, so there we go. So this was Slug Buster. This was kind of an old school. This one here, Greenlee punch. And then this was a cheapy Harbor Freight hole saw. So there you have it. The Greenlee punch definitely produced a better end result. And I think as you'll see tomorrow, when I do the dimple die video, you'll see that the better the hole, the better the end result.